Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Top Rope Takes. I'm Jason alongside my good buddy Willie Thrill. Will, we are on the road to WrestleMania. Elimination Chamber is this week, which is their final stop before the big show. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. Yeah, it's been a little while since we've been here talking about some wrestling on here. I'll give the people a quick update real quick. So, just to peel back the curtain in my personal life, got a new job,
Mm-hmm.
and the hours in which I am working, they kind of interfere when we would record, which
Mm-hmm.
was Tuesday after Raw, kind of in the afternoon. That worked out well. So now our schedules are kind of not aligning, but we will still be here to do previews, predictions, and reviews of all the PLEs. And you never know if there's something big that happens every once in a while, we'll hop on here and we'll discuss. But that's going to be kind of the layout for the time being. If anything changes, we'll keep you guys posted. But that's going to be the layout right now. But after this weekend, there is plenty of stuff to talk about and plenty of speculation leading into the road to WrestleMania. So I'm excited to talk about it with you, Jason.
Yeah, long story short, we're going to figure it out one way or another. We're going to be here because it is WrestleMania season and there is a lot going on. We saw the return of the final boss on SmackDown. We saw the return of Trish Stratus in the last couple weeks. She's going to be remaking her or wrestling again here in Toronto in Canada, big hometown favorite. And of course, John Cena, everything going on with him. What's going on with Cody Rhodes? What's going on with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn? All your favorites are in the mix. It's WrestleMania season, Will, and I'm ready to go.
Yeah, let's do it. And I think we should just kick things off. Let's get things started off hot with what happened on Friday, this
All right.
Cody and Rock segment that everyone seems to be talking about right now.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely a surprise when on Thursday, The Rock on Instagram made an announcement that he was going to show up to New Orleans to make a big announcement. And Triple H, added a little extra spice to it by saying you never know what could happen when the
Mm-hmm.
final boss shows up during WrestleMania season. And that was certainly the case for the segment. When The Rock
Yes.
came out, he initially just announced that WrestleMania was going to be in New Orleans, which is, if that was the segment, maybe would have been a little disappointing.
A little
But
disappointing.
once he announced to the crowd, he started singing "The Saints Come Marching In," and he started the final boss started to creep back a
Yeah.
little bit. He was, trying to snuff out the sing along. He wanted it to be, and then once they finally sang along with him, he was talking about the STD infested trailer park trash of New Orleans, which I absolutely love. Anytime he roasts the crowd, I still reference my dad and I still reference the Meth Head Marys and Crackhead promo from last year. That was just awesome. So he's
So
kind of
good.
doing that thing. And then he calls out Cody Rhodes. And up until this point, Jason, what were you thinking about this? What were you thinking could be this interaction between Cody and Rock?
I thought the whole thing, honestly, was just so weird. Um, someone once, I was listening to something once about how back in the 70s, Gene Wilder, when he was doing Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, he wanted his character like at the beginning of that movie there's a scene where they first see him where he's like hobbling and he's on a cane and they're like, oh my god, he can't even walk, and then he does a somersault and he's like, oh, actually I'm incredible. And the real whole reason behind that was because Gene Wilder wanted the Willy Wonka character, or wanted the audience to never know whether or not the Willy Wonka character was being genuine or not, or if you can ever believe anything he's saying. And I feel like a lot of that kind of applies to this final boss character, where yes, sometimes Dwayne Johnson has to be in corporate mode and PR mode and has to be the baby face and the goosebumps and the catchphrases. But then he just within moments will just Jekyll and Hyde it and turn into the Vince McMahon character that we were so used to seeing in the 90s at the final boss. And I kind of like that layer of the character where it's not just so black and white, where he's baby face, he's a heel. He's both. He's the Rock, but also at the same time, if the story calls for it, or if the moment calls for it, or if it's just more entertaining to be the bad guy, he's gonna slip into that role. So that part I actually really enjoyed, and I think that does bring something to it. As far as his interaction with Cody, I did think the whole thing on the whole was very weird because we didn't really get any clear idea of what The Rock is, the final boss, the character is actually asking for, other than he wants his soul, which I don't know what that means. Since when is he the Undertaker? And like, to me, the whole thing feels very reminiscent of the when The Rock first turned heel himself in 1997 or 1998. For those of you who weren't alive or don't remember, The Rock was a good guy to start his career, and then he turned heel with the Nation of Domination, and then he became very popular, and then they turned him heel again to make him a main eventer by aligning himself with Mr. McMahon, who was at the time obviously running WWE, and he became the corporate champion instead of the people's champion. And that's exactly what essentially The Rock is asking Cody to do here. He's asking Cody, turn heel, align yourself with me, and I will take you far. And I think that is a compelling storyline. Now, this is the big question. In 1998, when The Rock turned heel and aligned himself with Vince McMahon to become the corporate champion, why did he do that? Not in storyline, but from a business perspective. It was to make the biggest heel possible to go up against Stone Cold Steve Austin, the biggest baby face in the company. So if Cody Rhodes, who I don't think is, for as much as we've seen over the last couple of weeks of Cody Rhodes teasing this heel persona, I don't think he's aligning himself with The Rock. We believe that Cody is facing John Cena at WrestleMania, but this really casts all that into question because to me, what I expect to see in Toronto is Cody Rhodes rebuffing The Rock's offer to join him because there's obviously no incentive. So who does join The Rock? Who does become the heel to Cody's counterpart? I don't think it's Cena, obviously. So who's going to fill that spot? Who's going to be the 2025 corporate champion? Because I don't think it's Cody Rhodes.
Well, here's the thing. It's funny that you bring all that up because I 100% agree with you with everything you said. And I do agree that when we get to Toronto, Cody will reject the Rock's offer. It just doesn't seem like something he is our babyface. He is the guy we've been wanting, the Stone Cold. When they wanted to make Cena and Roman that babyface guy, and we rejected it, or for
Yeah.
a majority of fans rejected it. They finally have that guy in Cody Rhodes. I don't think they would jeopardize that by making him a heel champion, even if it was for a short period of time.
Mm.
But you brought up the fact that it might not be John Cena. But let's just think about this for a quick second. This is John Cena's last run.
Mm-hmm.
And what is the one thing that everyone has wanted from John Cena since he became, the guy, the champion, the babyface, the basically Hulk Hogan 2.0 in the modern era?
Mm-hmm.
They've wanted him to turn heel. And I can't think of a better headline for not just WWE, but for mainstream media if The Rock and John Cena were to come together and become the Hollywood two-man power trip.
Wow.
It just is money. Like I just see the money printing all over it. And this is the one time you get to do it. If John Cena's last run, you're never going to have this opportunity again.
Yep.
It's something that I personally would want to see. And the reason why also, you have to remember this. The reason why Cena didn't want to turn,
Mm-hmm.
and probably if you look in hindsight was the right decision for him not to turn, was because there was no guy to go after him to be the
Mm-hmm.
babyface. If
Right.
he had turned heel, there would have been no top babyface for him to go up against. As much as I love CM Punk, as much
Yeah.
as I love, you could go down the list, Rob Van Dam, Randy Orton, whoever, whatever babyface or other wrestler you want to throw out there, they were not going to be as big as John Cena was as a babyface.
Correct.
Now they have that with Cody Rhodes. So you do have, since you have that guy, you really can play around with anyone else as the corporate champion.
Mm-hmm.
And I think John Cena would be awesome in that role, even if it is temporary,
Mm-hmm.
even if you only do it for a few months. And then you could even lead into Cena or Rock turning on each other, and you
Yeah.
could get one final Cena Rock match. I don't think that's where they're going to go,
Yeah.
but it's fun. It's fun to speculate about this stuff. And the idea of Cena and Rock as these two mega heels in WWE, and to the outside fans being like, wait a minute, The Rock and Cena are teamed up. I got to go check this out. Like if I told someone who isn't into wrestling, The Rock and John Cena are these two villains who are taking over WWE, they're gonna be like,
Yeah.
I got to see this. I got to see
Yeah.
what's going on here because that sounds unhinged. So personally, that would be the road I would go down. But I could also make the argument this is in Cena's last run. Do you really want to make him a
Right.
villain character?
And I think
So
that's where I'm having the most difficult envisioning this because if we just look at it on paper, so John Cena has been the corporate champion. He has not been the people's champion. He's been the definition of the corporate champion for his entire run on top. The people's champion is somebody who is almost universally loved. That has not been John Cena. John Cena has been arguably the most polarizing figure in the company's history. But what has he been? He's been a team player. He's been a company guy. He's towed the line. And he's referenced that all as recently as his last promo right after the Royal Rumble, where he said, I've always done what's best for business, but now I'm realizing what's best for business is me in the main event. And I think that is a natural pathway to him aligning himself with The Rock as a corporate guy. However, we have to take into account what you just said. This is his last run. There's a lot of merchandise going to be printed. And you and I both know in the business, they don't really like to push heel merchandise. So I think can it be done? Yes, but I do not think it. If it's going to be done, I think it has to be done very subtly. You're not going to change John Cena's presentation. I don't think you're changing his music. I don't think he's coming out in. He's still coming out in the neon colored shirts and the wristbands and the knee pads and the hats. I don't think too much of it is changing. I think if anything, he's just going to be. It's what he's saying, not what he's doing, that's going to change. Because there's still going to be a portion of the audience that wants to cheer John Cena, and especially on this last run, I do not think they want him to go into his last WrestleMania being booed out of the building. I still think this is going to be if this happens, if we get John Cena winning on Sunday, which we will predict in a moment, if we have John Cena versus Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania, I think it'll be a babyface versus babyface. But I think The Rock will be in John Cena's corner and he will still remain as the true heel. I don't necessarily think John Cena himself is going to be doing any heelish things, if that makes sense.
no, I definitely see where you're coming from with that. And I wouldn't want this crazy John Cena character
Yeah.
change. I would want him to feel justified in his own right as a character to why he would go this route by pairing himself up with The Rock. I do think, well, as far as the merchandise thing, they're going to sell no matter what. Like, you can't stop that gravy train from coming in. If it's
Yeah.
Cena's last run, you could make him say, I hate everyone. And what I would compare it to, actually, if you were to do a Cena heel run,
Mm,
is what The Rock is doing right now. Because The Rock, when he calls out the crowd and calls them trailer park trash
yeah.
and does whatever, he does so with the smile on his face and sort of a tongue in cheek way, like, I'm
Mm,
just saying this, but I still love you guys. And even at the end of this promo that we saw, he was like, New Orleans, you've been a hot crowd. I love you guys. Whatever. So there is still like Cena can do that stuff where he's still
yeah.
like pandering to the crowd, still appreciating the people who are with him,
Mm-hmm.
but they're going after who the us as the fans over the past 2-3 years have appointed as our guy,
Right.
Cody Rhodes. And there is going to be part of us that are like, well, no, this is our guy. This is the guy from now till, until the next guy comes. So we're going to have some pushback to a guy like Cena or Rock trying to take that away in
Mm-hmm.
the last moment, which I think could make for an interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
Now, is there anyone else, since you don't think it's Cena, that you would speculate as being the corporate champion in your eyes? Or do you think it's really a Cena or bust situation?
See, that's so interesting because in this spot, you would love for them to elevate somebody newer. Like I honestly, like I wouldn't say he is newer. I think Drew McIntyre kind of fits really nicely into this role. I feel like that could be a spot for him. Do I think it's going to happen? No, I don't. But I feel like long term, maybe after WrestleMania, like making him the top heel to go after Cody Rhodes makes a lot of sense. Um, Part of me wanted to say CM Punk, but I think he's so over as a babyface, and I don't think it really fits his character. I think he's the opposite of a corporate guy, so that would make a ton of sense. But he's such a good heel, and I think him and Cody it would make a lot of sense and be a lot of fun to watch. There's nobody else that really jumps to mind. Well, honestly, now hear me
Say
out.
it. Say it. I know what you're going to say. Say it. Come
Logan
on.
Paul,
Yes. Come
Logan,
on.
Lo- I
Dude, think
think.
about it. It is perfect. I just lay it
Mm-hmm.
out real quick. But here's the thing. The only thing that it makes me slightly hesitant is that there is real life heat between The Rock and Logan Paul. That would
Oh,
have to
is
get
there?
squashed in order for this to work. But think
Yeah.
about it. The corporate like dickhead who has
Yeah.
his prime logo in the center of the ring. Like you
Yeah.
could even have him win the belt and have like a prime logo as a side place.
Yeah.
it just something about that. If it were to work out, I think that could be another way to go with this.
Yeah, I that kind of feels like we might have a winner there. If we're going to appoint a new guy to be the 2025 version of the corporate champion, aligning himself with the evil boss, Logan Paul feels like as natural to fit into that role as anybody else on the roster. So I kind of hope they go in that direction. Now, is that direction I want for WrestleMania? No, it's not. But after WrestleMania, give me Logan Paul as the corporate champion.
Yeah, and it's also like up there. It's not, I don't think it would be as big of a headline, but it is up there in like mainstream attention where if you had the Logan Paul and the Rock team up, people would turn their heads and be like, "Whoa, like
Mm-hmm.
what is going on here? I might have to go check this out." And you already have a built-in program that you've been building up already with Logan Paul and CM Punk, and CM Punk would be just the perfect
Yes,
antithesis to
the corporate.
whatever
Yeah,
Logan Paul does as the corporate champion. It would be
yeah.
it just it feels like a natural thing to kind of lead itself into. But I think the focus right now is Cody and The Rock. So
Mm-hmm.
I am curious to see who he has there. You also can't rule out with, Rock and the bloodline,
Mm-hmm.
it being Roman Reigns. But I feel like Roman Reigns has just got this momentum as a
Yeah,
babyface that you don't necessarily want to immediately turn him back
yeah,
into the heel spot. But it is something to think about because, you can't rule out family. And Rock did say he wants a brother.
yeah.
So that is going to play into something in the future, whether it's, them going face to face with each other or teaming up again.
I think this is the perfect vehicle for Logan Paul. I think it's a perfect vehicle for the WWE to get WWE to get more mainstream attention. Think about the appearance, all the talk show appearances or whatever. It's The Rock and Logan Paul on Good Morning America cutting heel promos and stuff like that. And then it just leads Logan Paul to have so many top runs against baby faces like Roman Reigns and CM Punk and Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins and anybody and everybody. So I hope that's the direction it goes. But as far as Elimination Chamber, just to dial it back a little bit, where we're at right now, The Rock and Cody Rhodes are going to meet in Toronto. We fully expect Cody Rhodes to reject whatever offer The Rock has laid out for him. And we're going to find out who Cody Rhodes' challenger is going to be because we do know for certain is Jey Uso and Gunther at WrestleMania. So whoever wins the men's Elimination Chamber will face Cody Rhodes. I don't think this gets physical between Cody and The Rock in Toronto. But especially because all the guys we just mentioned are in the chamber later, if they weren't, I would say maybe this is where you establish who the guy is. Um, but I could see. Let me just say this. I guess I don't see the Cody Rhodes getting physical with the Rock, but I could certainly see a Rock bomb to Cody Rhodes to end the segment.
Sure. And I also like I don't
Rock's
want
not
to
taking a bomb.
I don't want to completely rule out the idea that Cody could accept the offer because I think there is a route where Cody accepts it and everyone goes, "Whoa, whoa, what? This is not what we expected." But it's in a longer term play for him to, like
Yeah,
bamboozle the Rock.
yeah,
And then is like his way of being like, and you could get a fun few weeks out of the Rock and Cody being like this
yes,
kind of team before Cody unveils his true plan. We've seen it happen with Steve Austin when
mm-hmm.
he came out in the tuxedo and was
Yeah,
pretending to be the corporate champion. We saw it with Daniel Bryan when he joined the
that's
Wyatt
true.
family for a little bit, had a few weeks run, and then turned on them. Randy
Yeah,
Orton, same thing. So I could see them going that route just to
yeah,
pull like a big like, whoa, WrestleMania has completely changed, and then
yeah,
people kind of speculate from there. But then it ultimately turns out that this was a bigger plan on Cody's part to kind of
yeah.
sucker the Rock in.
I could totally see that too. And I think one of the things they either love or you hate about wrestling is if you want to know what's going to happen in the future, just look to the past because they don't really change up things too much. So it's very possible. All right, Will. What direction should we go next? You want to talk?
Well, we're talking about the Elimination Chamber match. I do want
Yeah.
to save the men's one for the end
Okay.
because
Great.
I think there's a lot of things to kind of speculate on there.
Yeah.
But let's go to the women's Elimination Chamber. We
All
do
right.
have Liv Morgan, Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, Bailey, Naomi, and Roxanne Perez. The
Interesting.
winner will be facing Rhea Ripley as Charlotte Flair has chosen Tiffany Stratton as her
Mhm.
opponent for WrestleMania. Who jumps out as you as a favorite? Because really, I mean, there's not really anyone, in my opinion, that stands out as like the absolute favorite, but there's a
Yeah.
couple names that I could definitely see go head up against Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania.
Yeah. This is tough because I don't think there's anyone in this match who, when juxtaposed to Rhea Ripley, screams WrestleMania to me. Um, I, I think for me, it's honestly easier just to do process of elimination. Like for example, I love Alexa Bliss. She seems to be pretty wrapped up in the Wyatt stuff right now. I don't think it's her. Um, I think you can scratch that one off. Um, who else? Bianca Belair. Well, Naomi's obviously not winning. Sorry, you're just not a big enough star. Um, Bianca Belair seems tied up in the Naomi stuff. So while she's probably the biggest name in that group, I don't. Well, I don't know. She certainly feels like the biggest star. So maybe she's a maybe. Liv Morgan's a maybe, but again, she's currently wrapped up in the Raquel and Bianca and Naomi stuff. So if they're going to continue that story, I feel like it takes them off the table. All that to say, really, I think Roxanne Perez. I think Roxanne Perez is going to get the rocket strapped to her. She just had her main roster debut. If she comes in and she immediately wins the Elimination Chamber, and within the first couple months of her on the main roster is main eventing against Rhea Ripley for the women's world title, like that's a huge power move, and I think it's one that's deserved. I think they would have a great match together. Um, I'll save my official WrestleMania predictions for once this is solidified, but regardless of whether or not Roxanne Perez would were to win at WrestleMania, I think is a different story. But I certainly think that there's not a fresher matchup, and I think they would put on a great match together. So I'm gonna go with Roxanne Perez.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree there. I think as far as like who jumps out, you mentioned like what name kind of jumps out as like a WrestleMania match. I do think Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair is a
Yes,
WrestleMania match that is like high profile. You could make an argument could main event either night one or night two of a
I agree with that.
WrestleMania. But I don't think this year's the year for it. I think they would do a longer build for that kind of match because I do think if that match were to happen, it should get some like high profile
Yeah.
recognition. And I don't think that would be the case this year with what's going on. So, yeah, you're right with Liv Morgan, Naomi. You're right about Alexa Bliss. I do think it's going to be Roxanne. I do think it is a great way to get her over
Mm-hmm.
and kind of just solidify her as a main event star, which is what you want to do right now with Roxanne Perez. And it's also a thing where like in the rumbles, sometimes they'll have the runner up as like a
Mm-hmm.
tease for like who could possibly be in the world title picture
Yeah.
for that year's WrestleMania. And so Roxanne being the runner up makes sense that she would then
Yes.
follow that up with a win in the Elimination Chamber to go up against Rhea Ripley. And it would really, even if she loses, would get her over as a big time star going up against Rhea Ripley and putting up the best fight she possibly could. But ultimately, Rhea
Yes.
Ripley overcomes it, or you could have her win. Who cares? But Bailey is another option that I think
Yeah.
we can't rule out just because, and this is just as like a guy who likes kind of synchronicity and I guess
Good use of
I don't
synchronicity.
I don't know what the word would be, but I like the idea that Rhea fought Becky
Mm.
or Rhea fought Charlotte
Yes.
at WrestleMania 39, fought Becky at WrestleMania 40, would fight Bailey at WrestleMania 41, and then inevitably when Mercedes Moné requests her release from AEW, would then
Yeah.
fight Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania 42 in New Orleans. So, but obviously a bit of sarcasm there,
Mm.
but it would be fun if she were to face three of the four horsewomen three
Yeah.
years in a row at WrestleMania. But Bailey's kind of lost a lot of her.
Yeah.
I don't know what the word would be, but like lost a lot of her luster. I'll say
Yeah. There's
as a
just
superstar.
I agree completely. And honestly, as we're talking through this, I'm realizing that this is far more open than I had thought. Because like I agree with you that Bailey is still a big name in the history of, WWE, and her and Rhea Ripley is a WrestleMania worthy match. Do I personally want to see it? I don't think so. I don't think a lot of people are very interested in it. I think the one thing you do have to take into consideration about Bailey, and this is honestly kind of a negative in terms of Roxanne Perez's stock, is they've kind of been doing stuff on NXT and on WWE television as of recent too. So is there a story that's paying off there? Are we getting, a Roxanne and Bailey match at WrestleMania instead? Is that the direction? I think that maybe makes a little bit more sense as far as If you're not going to put Roxanne right into the title picture to have her lose, maybe you get her a big win over Bailey at WrestleMania, and that's kind of her big moment. I don't think we can rule out Bianca because I could very easily see them doing like a Liv and Raquel versus Naomi and returning Jade Cargill if that's the direction they're going, and then have just Bianca and Rhea in their women's match at WrestleMania. And then, not for nothing, Liv Morgan has put in the best year of her career. And I personally think she should be in the main event in some capacity. I think it would be a kind of a disappointment to have the year she's had, the breakout year she's had, because you could make the argument, and I don't think a lot of people would disagree. Liv Morgan has been the women's MVP in 2024. And I think for her to just be in WrestleMania in like a tag match, I think would be a real disappointment. So I think there's a universe where Liv Morgan ends up in the women's title match as well, and maybe a triple threat scenario. I don't think people are interested in a one on one, but this field is wide open. Um, I think my gut intuition tells me that Roxanne is the most free, but I don't know. I'd be happy with three out of the six of them.
Yeah, I personally have no interest in it's just I mean it's
Yeah,
how the time kind of lends itself. Like she got hot Liv Morgan got hot after WrestleMania and it's hard to keep that momentum
yeah,
all the way up until the next year's WrestleMania. But I personally they wrapped up the Rhea Liv stuff. I have
yeah.
no interest in seeing her go after Rhea Ripley. If it were like Charlotte challenging Rhea and the winner of this would challenge Tiffany, I'd be all for that. Go
Right.
for Liv and Tiffany. But with the given scenario, I don't have any interest. Even if it's in a triple threat, I don't want to see Liv and
That's
Rhea
fair.
at WrestleMania. But I think you make a great point, and I don't think it's over for like there's still plenty of time for Liv to get that
Mm-hmm.
singles world championship match. I just think it needs to be something fresh
Mm-hmm.
and still high profile for Liv Morgan to sink her teeth into.
Yeah. No, I agree. So officially, I am going to go Roxanne Perez,
Yes, and I'm going Roxanne as well. That's what I think is going to go down. But let's go to the other women's match here on the card. We got Tiffany Stratton teaming up with legend 25 years
though. Mm-hmm.
in WWE,
Wow.
Trish Stratus, taking on Nia Jax and Candice LeRae.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have much thoughts on this other than it's a fun match for the Toronto crowd,
Yeah.
gets a big reaction, and I think Tiffany and Trish will win, get the crowd, nice and amped up.
Yeah.
Good moment for Trish, kind of passing the torch to Tiffany Stratton, and then also you could build off to a Nia Trish match at Mania where then Nia can get the win back on Trish.
Yeah. I do think the direction for WrestleMania is will be Nia and Trish because I think Nia's going to have a match. I don't think she's going to be completely ignored. So I think that'll set up this here. I think this match is actually going to be very important because I think it's going to set a lot of stories in motion. First and foremost, I do think it's going to start some Nia Trish stuff. Um, I would not be surprised if they tease some tension between Tiffany and Trish because I think that's a money match down the line. That's got to happen at some point. And then, not for nothing, Charlotte Flair is getting involved somehow, whether it's after the fact or whatever. Charlotte Flair will be in Toronto. You will see her. Um, so there's a lot of elements to this match that will happen. Official prediction is, regardless of anything else, there's one thing I know for certain, and that's Candice LeRae's eating a pin. Um, and everything else I don't know, but yeah, I'll take the baby faces on this one.
Yeah, that's the thing about this match is that like when you see Tiffany Stratton, Trish Stratus, Nia Jax, it's like there's a Candice LeRae here. There's no
Yeah,
way they're
one of
gonna
these things
avoid
doesn't
her.
belong here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. It's just too obvious for her to take the pin. So yeah, I'm going with the baby faces here on this one as well. Let's move right along to the Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens. Speaking of hometown people,
yeah,
I
big
guess not
Canada
really
show.
hometown, home
Home
country people.
countrymen. Yeah,
Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, unsanctioned match. Sami Zayn was pile drived by Kevin Owens on Raw a few weeks ago, came back and is now asked for this match against Kevin Owens. Adam Pearce wants no part of it, so he made it unsanctioned. What do we expect from this match here in Toronto?
I expect it's going to be a really good match. I think this is going to be a classic. I think this is going to be match of the night. I this one's hard to call because I truly have no idea what either of these guys' direction is for WrestleMania. There's been no No real signs. I'm sure they're going to be involved with each other in some capacity, but like you would think that if this isn't the WrestleMania match, like what is? So I don't know in terms of anything other than in the vacuum, Sammy versus KO in Canada, unsanctioned. I'm going with the babyface. I'm going with Sami Zayn to pick up the win in a great match.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of hoping that we'd have different answers on this one because
Mm,
we have been agreeing on the last two matches, but there is a while there I'm not sure about the direction for Sami Zayn, and gosh, I really hope it's not Karrion Cross because they've been
yeah, oh
teasing
God.
that on Raw, and I feel
Yeah.
like that would be a huge step down for Sami Zayn. There is a direction for Kevin Owens, and it's Randy Orton.
Oh
I
yeah.
think we're going to see Randy Orton somehow get in the mix here.
Mm,
I don't know if it'll be before or after. I could see it being a point where Kevin Owens is about to go too far in some
yeah.
capacity, and then Randy Orton comes in, hits the RKO, sets up Sami Zayn for something big here, and Sami Zayn picks up the win in Toronto, and it'll be a good win for Sami Zayn. And similar to the last match, Kevin Owens can lose here,
Yeah.
but then get the win back at WrestleMania if the direction is Kevin Owens and Randy Orton.
Right. Yeah, I could see that too. I don't know if Randy Orton's going to get involved in this match. I know it's unsanctioned, but I kind of feels like this needs to be just Kevin and Sammy. So we'll see on that. I'm not totally sold Randy gets involved. I do think you are probably right where it's a Kevin Randy at WrestleMania. I don't know what Sammy does. Honestly, as much as I hate to say it, he's probably just going to be thrown into another like multi-man match for like whatever the IC title or something.
Yeah, I could see that because there's definitely a few contenders for the IC title. I think there is a direction where they just do AJ Styles and Braun Breaker, but I could also see them go with the ladder match where you get Sheamus in there,
Yeah.
Ludwig Kaiser, you get Penta a spot in
Yes.
there, and you kind of do like a nice, fun
Yeah.
multi-man ladder match. And Sami Zayn is always just like a key guy to have in there to
Yeah.
shine.
So I think that's my I'll take Sami Zayn.
I'll take Sami Zayn here, which leads us to our Elimination Chamber match. Maybe we'll have different answers here, but I'm suspecting we won't.
Yeah.
We got John Cena, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Logan Paul, Damian Priest, and Seth freaking Rollins. And I think we expected most of this field. The one surprise for me is Damian Priest. I wasn't
Yeah.
expecting to see Damian Priest in this match, but I think it makes sense because I do think his WrestleMania match is another guy in this match, and that's Drew McIntyre.
Yeah.
I think they've been kind of setting up something between those two. So I think that will kind of resolve in the chamber. So I'm going to rule those two guys out off the
Agreed.
bat. But who do you think out of the rest of the field? Cena, Punk, Logan Paul, Seth Rollins. Who do you want to see?
Man, this is tough. I'm trying to also again do this with the eye of where are they going from here? What's the WrestleMania match? CM Punk is certainly seems to be tied up with Rollins and Roman, but granted, anything can happen there. And the thing about the chamber is like everybody has to be eliminated. So is this a situation where CM Punk eliminates Rollins and then it's just a clean finish where Punk gets eliminated last? Maybe. Or maybe there's more shenanigans. Maybe Roman, I don't know. I mean, I don't think Roman's getting involved. This is tough, man. I mean, I do think in the end, like we just talked about for the first couple of minutes of this video, we fully expect it to be John Cena just because we know the winner of this match is facing Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. However, as we just mentioned for the first 25 minutes of this video, what if this is the vehicle for Logan Paul? Does Logan Paul win this match and align himself with The Rock when Cody Rhodes says no at the same event? And then is the next thing we see Logan Paul aligning with The Rock, and it's Cody Rhodes and Logan Paul WrestleMania, and you have John Cena do something else.
You could. I would. The thing is if that is the case, like John Cena's only other match to me, besides being in the world title picture, it would be like, actually against Logan Paul.
Yes.
So I think it's a Cena win here.
Yeah.
But here's where I think, because I think like I really don't want to see Punk, Rollins, Reigns in a triple
I
threat.
don't
I just think
either.
that's convoluted. I think you just keep it to Rollins and Reigns. I
Mm,
think that's the more intriguing match for WrestleMania this year.
mm.
So I actually think Logan Paul is going to eliminate CM Punk in this match.
There
And
you
that's going
go.
to be the big shock. It will come down to Cena and Logan Paul. Logan Paul has CM Punk's number. He eliminated
Mhm.
him from the Rumble, eliminates him from the Elimination Chamber. And the direction, which I was not expecting at the beginning of this year, is going to be Logan Paul versus CM Punk
Which I'm
at
actually excited
WrestleMania.
for. I would be excited.
Yeah, I think they could both unload on each other. I thought their first promo was a little bit underwhelming together, but I think
Mhm.
they're just scratching the surface on what could be some great back and forths
Mhm.
between CM Punk and Logan Paul.
Yeah,
So if they can really deliver on that match and the hype for that, then I'm all for that match. And also, I mean, another thing that writes itself, Logan Paul, what's one of the moves that he does? The buckshot lariat. I mean, come on. Like, I
yeah,
mean, that's like
yeah,
if there's a moment where Punk tries to replicate that again and then he
yeah,
like accident like he trips on his leg again and that
yeah,
opens
yeah,
up Logan Paul to hit something. I think that's just a fun little cheeky thing to do.
yeah.
But
My
yeah, I think
only
yeah.
my only caveat to this is there's still this whole aspect of the favor from Paul Heyman that we haven't really addressed yet. What that is, how that plays into his WrestleMania story, how it ties into Roman Reigns, we assume. So I am on paper two thumbs up for CM Punk Logan Paul, but they have been telling this story. So where's the payoff? Where does it go? That's the one thing that's holding me back from saying that yes, this is the direction.
I think you could tell a story where CM Punk is so fuming that Logan Paul has taken these opportunities away from him that he even forgets about like
Mm,
it's so he's so tunnel visioned on Logan
yeah,
Paul that he's like, you know what? Who cares about the favor? Who cares about this? I need to snuff this guy's career out before he,
right.
does any more damage to WWE. So I think that's where you could get away with it. And I think the favor, like, honestly, if I'm being honest, I'm kind of sick of this favor thing.
Yeah,
Like, I think it's ruined everyone's like booking of CM Punk. Like, well, CM Punk can't do this because of the favor. He can't
yeah,
win the Rumble because of the favor. He can't win Elimination Chamber because of the favor. I think the favor's a long term thing. I think it's designed to where after a while we kind of forget about the favor or it's kind of
mhm,
like brought up and it's like that didn't really result in anything and then boom like out of nowhere like once everyone's kind of stopped talking about the favor that's when he uses it to
yeah.
do something insane that we weren't expecting.
Much like the Money in the Bank is a vehicle that they kind of like. They win the Money in the Bank, and then oftentimes it's like, all right, now you're gonna just do a regular program. You're gonna tease it. Now you're not gonna tease it
Yeah,
cash into the favor, but like same kind of concept.
right. They'll bring it up in promos at since but
Yeah.
after a while there it's going to kind of fall into the background until we
Mm,
kind of it's not really at the forefront of conversation. I feel like after WrestleMania, people are
mm,
going to be like, all right, well, I guess the favor didn't have to do with main eventing WrestleMania. So
yeah.
I guess we won't really see what the favor is until next year when
Right.
WrestleMania season rolls around. But then boom, come like SummerSlam time, CM Punk uses the favor for something.
Yeah. Has Logan Paul and CM Punk been interacting on TV? Or
Just they only had one like CM Punk came out, cut a promo about Elimination Chamber. Logan Paul came out and CM Punk joked like, "I forgot you were even a
yeah.
potential opponent in this match."
Oh,
Like,
right.
go,
And then he said the thing about like I didn't know whose music this was, right? And that went
yeah,
viral.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Got it. Got it.
Um,
Got it. Yeah.
and then Logan Paul was saying like, it's funny like you brought up to Kevin Owens like losing to Logan Paul, and then the next night you got eliminated by Logan Paul.
Mm,
So it was kind of like a bare bones promo between the two. I thought the CM Punk stuff was kind of funny, but it was more
yeah.
like CM Punk still not taking Logan Paul seriously. I think with Logan Paul eliminating CM Punk from this match, he'll
Yeah.
start to actually lean into what could be a great program between him and Logan Paul.
I agree. And you have to know Logan Paul is going to have a big match at WrestleMania. And if it's not against John Cena, I think it's got to be against CM Punk because you've already seen Logan Paul and Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. They're not going to do that again. They're not going to do Logan and Roman Reigns. There's no story there. So I think it is Logan Paul and CM Punk, and I'm happy about
Yeah. So just to recap here, I think our big matches that we expect at WrestleMania, we obviously have Jay and Gunther. We
it. Mm.
have Stratton and Flair. Those are confirmed, but
Yep.
we're speculating on Cena, Cody,
With The
Punk,
Rock
with the
involved.
Rock, with the Rock involved, Punk and Logan Paul, Rollins and Reigns, and Roxanne and Rhea Ripley.
Yeah. And with a Drew and Damian Priest in a kind of in there.
It's in some sort of match. There's ladder matches, all this stuff. So that's our predictions right now.
Yes.
Kevin Owens, Randy Orton,
Yeah.
Nia Jax. Trish Stratus. We kind of have like a little 8, 10 match card built out. So
Yep.
that's a direction. But with WrestleMania season, you never know
Yeah.
what could happen. Things could get
Right.
shaken up in a moment's notice. But I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next week at the Elimination Chamber. Jason, do you have any final thoughts here to wrap us up?
Final thoughts. I'm excited. I think the build up from Royal Rumble to Elimination Chamber has been a very steady incline, but I think we're about to take off after the Elimination Chamber. This first SmackDown after Elimination Chamber is actually going to be in Philadelphia. I will be there,
Oh,
so
snap.
I'm very excited for that. I'm hoping to see both John Cena and the Final Boss on SmackDown. So I'm very excited because this thing is going to take off like a rocket, and there's no quite feeling like WrestleMania season, especially for us wrestling fans. So it's a fun time.
Yeah, and as always, we'll be here next week, post Elimination Chamber, to give you our thoughts about what went down at the show. And then I'm looking forward to the week after, where we'll get some thoughts on Jason's trip to SmackDown. I would love to
Yes.
hear like a full in-person review because it's been a while since I've been to a WWE show. I think it's been, God, I want to say like 2.5 years. Oh, maybe 2 years
Oh,
since.
really?
Well, 2.5 for like a live show
Mm,
and a little over two for like a holiday tour. The
interesting.
last one I went was a holiday tour. I want to say 2022.
Mm. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm excited for the SmackDown. I think it's going to be a good show to be at. And then, of course, we are on the road to WrestleMania. There. One last thing, they're in Vegas this year. Is there any? There's going to be celebrity involvement, right? Do we want
Of
to
course.
throw out some potential names of? I'll throw it out for you. Here, I'll
Yeah,
put
yeah.
it out
Throw
there.
throw it out because I'm blanking here, but
They're in Las Vegas, home of boxing. Are we seeing Mike Tyson get involved in this Logan Paul stuff?
you know what? I remember that being a talking point after him and Jake Paul's fight.
Mhm.
I think if you're bringing in Jake Paul, you could bring in Mike Tyson. I think you have Logan Paul with Jake Paul in the corner, and I would love to see CM Punk with Mike Tyson in his corner. I I think that's kind of fun because Punk is like the successor to Austin, some might say,
Yes.
in some cases. So that would be a fun thing to have Punk and Tyson
Yeah.
out there. So yeah, I would love that.
I think
Um,
that adds a whole other element to this
yeah,
Logan Paul CM Punk thing that we fantasized about. If you have an enforcer in each corner, I think that's great. That's money. The other name I was thinking of, Conor McGregor.
you can't rule him out.
UFC, TKO merger. He's certainly on the board. I don't know what his natural involvement would be, but I certainly think he's a big enough name and star that if WWE and certainly TKO would love to have him involved in some capacity. So I'm gonna put my thing on the board. Conor McGregor will be at WrestleMania, and so will Mike Tyson.
Yeah, and I know Israel Adesanya is a big WWE fan. I wouldn't be surprised. Really, anyone in UFC could get involved in
Yes.
a Las Vegas centered WrestleMania. So I won't rule any of those people out. I am gonna think about this for a little bit. So
Yeah.
maybe next show
Conor
after
McGregor versus
Elimination Chamber.
Sheamus. Book it.
Sure, why not? But I'm gonna think about what celebrities we could see at WrestleMania because there's gonna be celebrity involvement. So
I'm loving this
stay
idea of
tuned. Yeah.
Logan Paul versus CM Punk with Jake and Mike. I'm so
Yes.
into that. I'm not
Yeah.
going to be disappointed if it's anything else.
Right. If they, yeah, maybe a little bit. I'm sure it'll still be fine. But now I'm seeing Mike Tyson and CM Punk together with the Paul brothers. Man,
Yeah,
that's fun.
that's fun. So, all right, we got a lot to look forward to in the coming weeks. Thank you so much for listening. We will be back next week. Take care, everybody, and see you next time.
Peace.